you looked around, you said, why don't you start with you? You start this program. And did you have an intention or you just have an idea? Well, you had the intention, you had an idea. I think quite often we don't know where it's going to go. But you said you go from 20 something to 300 kids. How long did that growth take? And what type of mistakes did you make along the way that you had to modify?
So two lanes here. One is our business, which is Better Way. We work with school systems all across the country. The other is where I volunteer,
Okay.
because that's the wrestling club where I met Randy. That's where we've gone from like 26 kids to 300 kids.
Okay.
Now, here's what I'll tell you. The principles we use at A Better Way to teach coaches, athletic directors, parents, and kids all across the country are the same principles we're using at the Midlothian Miners.
Okay.
And it's not rocket science, and here's what I'll tell you, it freaking works. And so, the company was founded out of this, just burning desire to help the landscape of athletics be better, and that's all parts of the ecosystem: athletic directors, coach, parents, and kids. When we moved to Virginia, that's when, my son was in 5th grade and he was coming to me going, "Dad, you said I could wrestle when I turned like 10 years old. I'm almost 11. And the move kind of delayed it, which, I wasn't panicked, because the goal ain't 12. I tell parents all the time, if you want to win at 10, go hard at 9.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to win at 10, you probably need to do some self-reflection
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself what your real purpose is."
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people are freaking out. I'm like, whether we start at 10 or 11, if he wants to be good, he'll figure it out because we can provide the environment. So we took him to the wrestling club that was closest to our house. And, I left that night going, we need to invest in this community. And we do it as all volunteers. No one gets paid. We just invest in kids and families. And so that is almost like the little hobby, passion project. But our company, what we want to do is we want to step into school systems all across the country, and we want to make sure that anytime a district chooses to put a coach in front of children, that they have the tools they need to be successful.
Okay.
Now, if they choose not to use those tools, that's on them. But right now, Mark, what we're doing, and part of it is desperation, if you have a heartbeat, we are willing to put you in front of kids because we're so desperate for coaches. And just because you can pass a background check and you're not a criminal doesn't mean you're ready to lead 14 and 15-year-old young men and women and their parents on this journey we call sport. And so we believe that there's an administrative obligation that school systems should have in equipping those individuals.
So let's stop there for a second. You said if you have a heartbeat and they put you in front of kids, you're okay to coach. Well, I know you didn't say that, but that's what it feels
That's
like.
what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So why is that? Sometimes, I'll give you an example. My brother, sometimes every once in a while he would complain about a coach or something, and I said, "Dude, you know what that coach makes? That's
Yeah.
By the way, if he makes,
If he
he's usually,
makes,
So it's and I don't see anyone else stepping up to take his job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's what are the reasons? Is that the primary reason? You don't see a lot of coaches stepping up. I just recently saw something where there were coaches. They named 8 former NFL guys who coach high school football, and a few of them coach the same team, which sounds unfair, but they love it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are the reasons where that people aren't stepping up in coaching, qualified people?
So I think it's a couple of things. Number one, I think just the demands on a coach today are off the charts, man.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the middle school coach has the same expectations that people have for Nick Saban, man. If you don't win right now and everything's not perfect, and like you said, I'm like, dude, Nick Saban's making $8 million a year. This guy's making $800 a year.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is the demands. There is no more, even when we talk about multi-sport and stuff. If you were a high school basketball coach today, Mark, if you were a high school head basketball coach, you were probably an assistant football coach and the freshman baseball coach. So because coaches coach multiple sports, kids played multiple sports.
Yeah.
Well, in today's culture, if you're a high school basketball coach at a competitive high school and you're not coaching year round, here's what I'm going to promise you. You're getting fired. You're getting fired.
You're going to say that because that it's going to be very hard for them to win, to have buy-in by the kids?
Even if it's not hard to, even if it's not creating a better outcome, the perception from people is you're not working hard enough to give us the best chance. You may coach 1 year, year round, and go 20-15. You may go coach another sport and the next year go 20-15, but perception and comparison is going to cause people to go into such an upheaval that it's going to run you out of that district. And so, number one, I think it's demand. You know, number two, I do think some of it is just financially. You know, like it's hard to give that much time for that little pay in the world that we live in today. Used to, it was a little bit easier to manage. Number three, we don't have as many people going into education. About 50% of our coaches across the educationally based landscape today are not teachers. When I was in high school, every coach I had was a teacher. You know, you saw them every day in the building.
Right.
The majority of our kids right now, mine included, will play for a coach that does not work in the building as an educator. It's why it's even more important for us to develop coaches, because they're not even educators anymore.